Everybody come see us on tour. We'll be in Columbus, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.
Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show, everybody. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobular. We are running down the Trump list of cabinet picks. They are quite the lot so far, and here's another one. Another big prize here. United States Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee. That's right. Mike Huckabee tapped for ambassador to Israel. Trump announced Tuesday he appointed former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee to serve as his envoy to Israel on Tuesday, touting his military service as he served in the Army Special Forces for 27 years. Huckabee is a staunch supporter of Israel and has criticized the Biden administration's calls for a ceasefire with Hamas. Pardon me. Huckabee has advocated for Israel to annex parts of the West Bank, which Israel occupied in 1967, and has backed Israeli settlers in the territory. A former Southern Baptist pastor, Huckabee regularly leads evangelicals on visits to Israel. Here is a great little montage that Hotspot put out. Meet the U.S. ambassador to Israel. Quote from Huckabee, among other outrageous quotes in this montage, "There's no such thing as a Palestinian." So here we go.
I mean, there really is no such thing as, and I have to be careful in saying this because people will really get upset. There's really no such thing as a Palestinian. There's not. Very Persians. You don't. You know, and there's such complexity within that. There's really no such thing. That's been a political tool to try to force land away from Israel.
The two-state solution, if we mean two governments holding the same piece of real estate, is irrational and unworkable. If there is a two-state solution, the Palestinian state needs to be outside the boundaries of the nation of Israel.
Outside the boundaries. What boundaries might those be? Those might be a river and a sea. That's what he means by the boundaries. So between the river and the sea,
to the sea,
from the river to the sea, that's Israel's, according to him. Almost like that rhetoric tends to come from the Zionists. Not so
Who knew?
much. Yeah. Outside the boundaries. Let's play that one more time.
Holding the same piece of real estate is irrational and unworkable. If there is a two-state solution, the Palestinian state needs to be outside the boundaries of the nation of Israel. There's plenty of land in the world that we could find a place and say, okay, let's create a Palestinian state.
All right, how about Arkansas? I nominate Arkansas. How's that for an idea? He's not done. He's got more.
There are certain words I refuse to use. There is no such thing as a West Bank. It's Judea and Samaria. There's no such thing as a settlement. They're communities, they're neighborhoods, they're cities. There's no such thing as an occupation.
This just in from the Italian Prime Minister. There's no such thing as Britain. There is Britannia.
Right, yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, what do you say to that, man? I mean, look, this is why I said, I'll speak for myself. I think I could speak for Russ. This is why I said, in the run-up to the vote, as the campaign was winding down, I said, look, I understand people make a decision about a lesser evil in the privacy of a voting booth. I've often compared Donald Trump to the, gun with one chamber empty. If you're going to play Russian roulette, there's a 1 in 6 chance when you pull the trigger, you'll survive. And I described Kamala Harris as, a gun with every chamber hot. So I understand the privacy of a voting booth. You go in with your lesser evil pick and you fill the ballot out how you want. But this is exactly why I was emphatic that I could not and would not support Donald Trump or instruct people to vote for Donald Trump. Because what do people have to say for themselves now? If you are an anti-Zionist, anti-Israel, pro-Palestine person, what do you have to say for yourself now if you were telling people to vote for Trump, or if you were taking a flyer and voting for Trump? Like what do you say? What do you say? I mean, that's why I never told people to support Trump. I know Russ didn't. I know Jimmy didn't either. I know he said that on this show. Because of this. Because what the fuck? How do you look your audience in the face now and tell them, it's great move.
It's great.
Great move.
And you can see them trying to do it. You can see people who are gobsmacked by these shows, which we are not, because we said this is what he was very likely to do.
Right.
As soon as he got into office, why don't you wait until he gets in office? So come on, man. Come on. Like, his picks tell you what he's going to do when he's in office.
His ambassador to the UN,
what do
which
you
we'll
think?
get to. Sorry. Go ahead.
Even a more competent, informed, educated president than Trump cannot micromanage these agencies. You know, a lot of books have been written about how little power the president really has, because it's an enormous bureaucracy. How much direct control can you really exert on a day-to-day basis over how the State Department runs, how the Department of Defense runs? So who you pick to run those agencies is really you setting policy. That is really where you're setting policy, because you're not going to get on the phone to check them every day. It's impossible. You're going to call everybody, EPA, every day, right?
Right.
He's telling you right now, what he's going to do when he's in office. He's showing you what he's going to do when he's in office with these picks.
Yeah, it broke the other day. The Israeli finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, is saying, well, we're just going to go in and annex the West Bank and claim Israeli sovereignty over the West Bank.
That was always the plan. Yep.
And that was, he said, he announced that plan in response to Trump's victory. Right. He said, now that we have President Trump coming in, we expect he will back this. Mm-hmm. And look, with an ambassador like this, I mean, he has good reason to think that they'll back it. There's nothing holding them back now. Now, you could say, well, was there anything holding them back under Joe Biden? No. What did I tell you? I said the pace at which this develops will likely be faster under Trump, because they're not under any obligation to virtue signal to their base that they care about imprisoned and colonized brown people, whereas the Democrats are, right? The Democrats appoint Linda Thomas Greenfield to the UN, this very soft-spoken African-American woman, right? Who does Trump send? Elise Stefanik, just a loudmouth, in-your-face, bull in a china shop, full-bore Zionist. She came out against UNRWA funding last week. She came out against UNRWA funding after a whole month where hardly any aid got into northern Gaza at all. The only reason they let a little bit in is because the Biden administration made that empty threat that they were going to cut off arms, which they just announced today they are not going to cut off arms. So that's the difference. The difference is the pace at which this will unfold. But now they have full-throated advocates at all the posts. All the key posts here are full-throated Israel advocates.
Well, what's really funny about this whole movement, if you want to call it that, they're such Western chauvinists, and part of their premise is that they are from the culture of rational analysis. We are from the culture of Plato and Aristotle. We are from Western civilization. Look at these backward people with their Quran. You just put a Christian accelerationist
that's the other
as the ambassador of Israel. You got a guy who, I've been saying this since this broke out. These people, these Christian Zionists, they want the Jews there to be Jesus bait.
Yes.
Their whole investment in Israel is so that Jesus will come, the prophecy will be fulfilled, and then the Jews can convert or get thrown into the lake of fire.
Right.
That's, the Jews, who obviously don't believe in any of this, are happy to take their money, their weapons, their political support, and not worry too much about the lake of fire part.
Yeah. Yep. Quite the pick there.
Hey, if you're tuning into this show, chances are you share our frustration with mainstream media bias. We've all seen how often we're being shown only one side of the story, whether it's selective reporting, outright spin, or due to establishment or corporate interest. Check out this example. An MSNBC producer admitted the network is doing all they can to help Kamala Harris win. Only one liberal source covered this story, and they're from outside the United States. No liberal media in America reported on this story. Or take this recent report from Gallup about how trust in mass media is at an all-time low. Barely any legacy media covered it. But we were able to find these stories because of what? Today's sponsor, Ground News Blind Spot Feed, which is a powerful tool that exposes important stories mainstream media overlooks or intentionally sidesteps. Stories from both sides of the political spectrum. Ground News is a fantastic app and website that gathers related articles from around the world in one place, highlighting each source's political bias, factual reliability, and corporate interest. So if you want to see through the spin on any media story, for a limited time, you can take advantage of Ground News' biggest sale of the year. My viewers are going to get 50% off their top tier Vantage plan by going to ground.news/JD or scan the QR code on your screen. If you like this show, I think you'll love this platform. Everybody, come see us on tour. We'll be in Columbus, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.